My name is Dr. Wendy Hassan, and I'm a pediatrician and a pediatric ICU doc, which means I take care of the sickest kids in the hospital that need to be on ventilators. And I don't usually post videos on social media, but after today's news, instead of just crying alone in my office, I wanted to share my thoughts with you. Today, they announced that they're going to be changing the CDC childhood vaccine schedule. And there's a lot of changes on there that are really upsetting. But for me as an ICU doctor, the one that's really making me cry is that the annual influenza vaccine is no longer recommended routinely for children. And this makes me so upset because this is a recommendation that's going to hurt children. Last year was one of the worst flu seasons. In fact, for pediatric deaths, it was the worst flu season on record, with almost 300 children dying of influenza. And there's a lot of misinformation. People like to say that the only kids that are dying of influenza have complex medical needs. Well, that's not true. The majority of children who died from influenza were previously healthy. And the majority of children who died from influenza were unvaccinated. Every year in my ICU, I'm admitting previously healthy, unvaccinated children who are requiring full life support. I'm putting them on heart-lung bypass, sometimes for months at a time. I'm putting them on ventilators for weeks or months. And this is completely preventable. And I think that just talking about pediatric deaths is really missing the mark. Some people just say, oh, well, only 300 pediatric flu deaths last year. That's probably not going to affect my child. But this is America. In 2026, it's really hard to die from the flu here. And we're really lucky. And that's because we have all sorts of technology. We have ventilators, we have medications, we have heart-lung bypass machines. And so only looking at flu deaths really misses the mark in pediatrics. What we really also need to be talking about is how many children get admitted for the flu. Because when a kid gets admitted for the flu, they oftentimes have to have a breathing tube in for weeks or months. They oftentimes have to have chest tubes placed or breathing tubes placed. And outside of the terrible thing that is to experience to the child, it's a terrible thing for a family to experience. If you've ever had a sick child, think about how scary that was, even just having them at home with a cold. But then imagine that they're admitted to the hospital for weeks or months with complications of influenza. Imagine what that does to your stress, to your financial stress. How do you work? How do you take care of your other children? There's a lot more to talk about when kids are sick from the flu than simply just mortality. And we need to stop being so short-sighted. I'm so devastated because I know that flu season is here. We're seeing the numbers go up. And I'm going to be putting kids who are previously healthy and unvaccinated on heart-lung bypass machines. Last year, there were 2 influenza-related deaths in my state. I see it every year. I beg you, please consider getting vaccinated for the flu. Please get your kids vaccinated for the flu. Talk to your pediatrician, somebody you trust, about why this is so important.